What's up, everybody? It's Primeval, and first off, I'd like to say happy 420 and happy Easter Day. I hope you're all enjoying that with a large amount of weed or a large amount of chocolates on your personal preference. And today I'm gonna bring you a Wargame Red Dragon replay, which is something different, something I haven't done before. I've been watching Attila Gaming's replays of some of his matches, and that's made me want to try and do the same kind of thing with some of the more interesting games that I've had going on. So, I'm playing with my friend Goldie, Elite. You may know him from some of my other videos. And we jumped into a 2v2. This is the pre-release patch, so naval stuff is available. You'll get to see that. We're playing a 2v2 against these two guys, CSF Apollo and CSF Zion, who are both playing American decks. I am playing a Red Dragons deck, North Korean and China, and Gold Elite is playing a Soviet deck. He starts out mainly with dropping in a lot of choppers. Our main strategy here is to let's try a naval battle against random people. We've only played a little bit of this game at this point, so don't expect too much. I certainly am not any kind of NLG professional wargame player. This map is quite interesting though. I do enjoy the new maps. Wargame as a series we've been playing from, since the beginning. Since European, then we moved over to Airland, and now that this has come out, we'll be playing quite a lot of Red Dragon over the coming months. For those of you subscribed to my channel, I just want to say that you may have noticed I am not posting as much as I used to, but I have not stopped making DayZ videos. In fact, quite the contrary. I have a backlog of so many that need to be edited, and I will get around to that someday. And let's just leave that at that. So right now what I'm doing is let's actually set this to what we can see from my personal view. As we're discussing strategy, my goals were to take Echo and Delta, and Goldie is going to take Foxtrot and help move up on Echo. And the enemy make a few mistakes. You'll see that. We'll actually speed up to the start of the game. Should be right out here. Slow it back down again. I'm sending my Me-4 with a recon scout to Dimitri. Goldie gets his helicopter infantry into the point, and all I have for helicopter infantry is some recon. The rest are in the APCs. I'm sending some Xinheng Chinese tanks. The enemy move in with a lot of choppers. Goldie managed to shoot a few of them down with his MiGs. Unfortunately, I lose my recon chopper, but at least we know what's up there. And we secure this with some command infantry. I have my command infantry over here driving through the forest quite slowly, but they're getting there. And as of now, we can only see the enemy has a few choppers floating around. This one is actually an anti-air chopper, so it's equipped with 4 Stinger missiles, which can be quite dangerous, especially if you're sending a lot of your own choppers out and you don't want to send them too far. So my ally is moving up with some Spetsnaz and some Igla. Over here, my forces come in contact with a Black Hawk. I tell the Igla to dismount, and they shoot it down anytime now. My tanks are catching up, very cheap tanks, 25 points each. And I move my stuff into the forest in preparation. I'm not sure what's here, but I expect that the enemy has moved in to the point. So Right now in the battle, we spot something interesting. The enemy has purchased a Congo. This guy, Apollo, has saved up the entire battle so far, the entire opening, and bought himself a Congo and 2 Pohangs to come harass our reinforcement point over here and try and maintain dominance off the ocean. Here's Goalie bombing with his Il-102, which is more or less an Il-2 Sturmovik, but well, it's a spiritual successor. So the enemy had some assault engineers in this building, which my APCs are taking care of, and my tanks. The Black Hawks is still at large. My Igla is out of missiles, so I'd have to resupply that. I do believe I purchased a supply truck to set up a field of base over there shortly. But in the meantime, my command infantry get into the point and I deploy them. Their backup is unfortunately detracked and moving quite slowly through the forest. Meanwhile, I'm moving up my APCs. In the center, Goalie Spetsnaz and Igla are coming into contact with some infantry units they set up at center. An A6 intruder comes in to do a bombing run, but I don't believe it hits anything. It stuns my tanks and my BTR, but that's not really an entirely big deal. So we're not worried. Now, the Congo that the enemy have purchased cost 420 points. 420 blaze it. And that's a real bad mistake if we get to take that down. Goldie here spots that they're trying to shoot at his reinforcements as they come in, his Urals and such, so we end up just calling things in from Gregory and not really worrying about it, and we deal with that later, as you will see. The enemy try moving up with some Humvees. These do have M2 Brownings on them, but they are just Humvees, so they're not gonna do a lot. And their main purpose is to scout. Goldie's Igla is shooting down some Chinook. The enemy over here still has an awful lot of helicopters floating around. My ally moves up his Mi-8 to reinforce my point, my command infantry, and kind of repel any attack that might come on them. So in the middle I have a few stuff lined up to go along with the main assault, and they pretty much take out all of these Humvees that the enemy are just moving fast. There's Goldie's BMP-2 shooting at them with the autocannon. So that's quite nice. Meanwhile, they were still trying to do bombing runs, but Goldie was trying to shoot them down with his MiG. I believe I'm moving up some more Igla. I've got a resupply truck moving up to resupply my other Igla. I'm using a ZSU to guard my command infantry, which is a terrible unit, but it's very cheap, and it can stun most tanks. My infantry here actually deployed from here, but they could not cross the river, so they had to go all the way across the bridge. That was a mistake on my part. I should have driven the BTR over the river, but as you'll see, they did have infantry in this compound, so if I had driven it over, it could have likely been hit with a rocket immediately and died right there. So that would have been a waste of points, because these are my, I think they are elite infantry from North Korea. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. I'm moving up some T-34 because lol T-34 actually make for a good infantry fighting vehicle, rather than an actual tank. But they're 10 points, quite cheap, quite effective against infantry, and they can shoot at whatever APC the enemy might have, as well as suppressing the enemy tanks if they get close enough. But they're certainly not a main battle tank. This chopper actually takes a shot at the Il-102, which did some bombing on these houses with infantry. Goldie has an attack marker, so I'm moving up my main force here. They have not secured center, which is very strange because we haven't really been pushing on it other than with the Spetsnaz. I do discover they have some infantry in this building. Light riflemen, which thankfully Goldie's choppers managed to suppress. quite well as my recon vehicle will take some shots at them as well. Meanwhile, I'm moving up some anti-air equipment, a PGZ-95, which is a gun tank essentially, and a HQ-7, which is a missile vehicle. It's fired most of its stuff already, I believe at a Black Hawk, so it only has one left. And in the center, Goldie is ahead of me with his Spetsnaz, trying to clear some stuff out. Unfortunately, my main line infantry is a little bit behind, and I don't really want to move up without having that there. But I move up my recon, we get some enemy positions. Goldie's telling me to kill a truck or something over here, but I don't see it. Meanwhile, I call in some T-34. They come in from this side, and I also call in some infantry, and unfortunately that side is well camped, which we will deal with. So in the center, Goldie calls back his Spetsnaz, which have been damaged a little bit. My main line infantry start firing at these light riflemen, and I do have more sitting over here to move up in case they get too damaged. I really should have moved them up at the same time in the same kind of parallel houses, which I do a little later. Goldie's Mi-8 come in to suppress